another 31 Days of Halloween video. Today we are doing one of the last Halloween franchise videos. We are doing the reboot of Halloween. Came out in 2007, directed by Rob Zombie, and this one was a bit different.
If you guys haven't been following the series, this is basic Halloween. The best way I can describe it is the really edgy reimagining of the Michael Myers story if they gave you far too much information.
The plot of this movie, at the bare bones, does follow the original to a certain degree. However, the first half of this movie is more of a backstory on Michael Myers, whereas the second half is more of following what the original movie did, even though they did quite a few changes, which was an interesting switch up from the original. I feel like the original is very classic. It's very, straightforward. You have that intrigue and mystery of why Michael is the way he is. And this movie almost over-explains why he is the way he is.
This is a 2-hour film, and the first hour is all Michael Myers' backstory before he even, dons the mask. So we do get some, returning characters from the original franchise, and one that surprised me was actually the return of Dr. Loomis. Now, Loomis is played by Malcolm McDowell, and he does a pretty good job in this. They actually, I will give credit where credit is due, this movie does pretty good, young makeup.
True.
On them. And so for an older actor, they make him look pretty young. He has flashes of, Ewan McGregor face sometimes in this film. But I was surprised by his character returning. I felt like he didn't quite have the pizzazz of the original Loomis.
They toned down Loomis quite a bit, which I know we've complained about Loomis's over-the-topness in our previous reviews, but I kind of missed it on this one.
Yeah, that was kind of the funny thing, is that we complained about him being like, Michael Myers is a monster! And just yelling at people, but he never did that in this, and I was kind of sad for it. I was waiting for him to have a freak out.
He does a little bit at one point, but it's not, to the public, it's just to Michael. So it wasn't as fun. Along with returning characters, we also have Laurie Strode, played by Scout Taylor-Compton. She did fine. It was the writing more than the acting, in my opinion.
I agree.
She was written as a very not exciting character. You get a little bit of her and her friends, interactions and stuff, but she just doesn't come across on screen the same way Jamie Lee Curtis does, and she's not written to either. She's written as a very basic, slasher victim instead of this, really interesting final girl. And she has a few redeeming moments at the end, but not enough for my personal tastes.
I feel like they wrote her character to pull the worst parts of Laurie Strode's character from the original franchise and left out some of the best. So she doesn't have the charisma that Jamie Lee Curtis has, but she does have the, I'm boring Laurie kind of vibe going. And then we have Michael Myers, and I don't know what to say about Michael Myers in this one. Like we said, we get so much backstory, and I think it kind of hurts his character a lot, actually, because you're kind of tired of him by the time he actually starts doing the things you came to see him do in the first place, being Michael Myers and not just being the crazy kid who kills people and abuses pets.
They wrote him as a very typical psychopath, psychopath slasher killer. In my opinion, like Steven said, we have, the lead up from animal killing to people killing, anger, child abuse, all of these typical things. I felt like I was watching a Criminal Minds episode for the first half, and I just didn't enjoy it as part of the Michael Myers story. I will say, though, despite that, the young actor who played young Michael, I actually felt like gave a really strong performance for what he was written as. I didn't personally like the writing of his character, but I think he performed it very well.
Yeah, and I just felt like the way they ended up putting in all the things, it is almost like the Solo effect from the Solo Star Wars movie, where they feel the need to over-explain things and say, oh, here's where the mask came from, here's how this happened, here's why he does these things, and it kind of takes away some of the mystery, and because of that, some of the draw, because no one ever doubted Michael's motivation. I don't think anyone watched the original Halloween and was like, but we just really want to know why he feels this way. But this movie really worked hard to explain it.
I will say one of the things I really enjoyed about his character as an adult was some of the shots they got with the mask. I actually really enjoyed the mask design on this one. I thought it was very sufficiently creepy, and the way they did certain, like, they were totally trailer moments, you could tell, certain shots and the lighting on them and just the way the mask looked. I really enjoyed those certain visuals, but the actual, like, action, not so much. But after having a mask that I didn't enjoy from like 4 onwards.
Yeah.
Returning to a mask that was actually pretty creepy and inspired fear was nice.
I will say that his character in this, they like add a foot to his size, and he's very intense looking and spooky. I think some of the best moments in this film are when you just see him standing in the dark behind someone, things like that. That's probably where he had the most, like, classic Michael Myers presence.
Which, that's why it's so disappointing to have this huge backstory where you don't get any of that, and then you finally get it with some of the adult stuff, and it's really not till the last, 20-30 minutes of the film that we get those moments. And I missed having those moments from the get-go. The original Halloween, yes, you have the setup from his childhood, but that's like the first 5 minutes. And then you have the creepy stalking, showing up in backgrounds, being this intimidating presence without doing anything, and we only got about 20 minutes of that in this film, and that was just very disappointing. My absolute biggest complaint about this film is that it tried too hard. It tried to be over the top, edgy, intense, make you feel uncomfortable and icky through the entire thing. And while I think that especially in horror films there are times and places for that, I don't personally enjoy watching films that just make me feel like shit the whole time. And this film totally did this. There was unnecessary violence, unnecessary over the top, just like when every other word is cussing, it's not good writing in my opinion. Like, it's just this brutality that's unnecessary and almost masks like poor dialogue. And then there was also some very intense sexual violence that had absolutely no point to the plot at all. It was just thrown in there to be edgy, and I disagree with that very strongly.
Yeah, between those scenes and even characters that you wouldn't think would have that type of intense, nasty dialogue, everyone had it. The parents talk to the kids this way, the parents talk to the parents this way, the kids talk to the parents this way, the kids talk to the kids this way. And especially for the first hour of the film, it becomes so grating to have everyone calling each other cocksuckers and getting in each other's faces and being really nasty like that. And it just continues. You're worn out by the time the second half of the film rolls in.
I just struggle so much with any film in any genre not having a character to root for, and even with Laurie's character, I didn't root for her, I didn't care about her, and I hated everyone in this film. It almost was trying to drive home the message that, it's not the monsters that are scary, it's the humans, which has never been a theme in Halloween movies. I think there are good themes in other movies, but it has never been a thing in these movies, and I think that it was really out of place.
Yeah, it's almost like they wanted to make it that, like, all the people Michael was killing deserved to die, and Michael was, like, doing a service, or, like, you can understand him or root for him. But I don't think that's ever been a thing for... He's always been an antagonist, and trying to make him an antagonist, or almost the protagonist of this movie, arguably, that it just doesn't really work for his character and what they want him to do. By far, I think the biggest complaint from both of us is that this movie was very long, in that it didn't need to be. And I think that's the biggest complaint. We talked about the backstory. They could have included the backstory and kept it to like 15 minutes before rolling into the rest of the film, but they drew that out for a full hour of runtime that by the end, like, I was done watching. I was ready for the movie to end, and then we, like, paused it, and we're like, oh my gosh, there's an hour left of this movie. And really, they don't start hitting classic Halloween moments until further into that final hour. And so this movie just could have been shorter. It felt really drawn out. Like, there's a lot of padded runtime and stuff that just didn't need to be there.
This is a spoiler-free review, but I will say that I don't understand how there's number 2 of this. They didn't leave it open for anything at all. And I have no clue what we're doing for the second one, so that will be interesting. At this point, I regret committing to review these, because I don't want to watch the second one. I didn't want to watch the second half of the first one, but we're going to do it. So
we are committed to you, the viewer, and making it through this entire series. It would be kind of crazy to stop on the last old one before the new one comes out. But we want to know what you guys thought about this movie. If you actually enjoyed this one, let us know down in the comments below so we can fight with you about it. And if you didn't, also let us know that you agree with us. And leave us a like if you're enjoying this series. We're bringing you Halloween videos every day in October, and we're so excited about it. We're running through it, and we have a ton more content on the way for you, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't miss a single video. And if you want to see some more videos we already have uploaded, you can click right over there, and we'll see you guys next time.